how many elected officials do we have here? All electeds, please stand on up real quick. Our elected officials. I see Chris Cabaldon in the back. Other elected officials. All right, let's give our elected officials a round of applause. All right, we want our team leads to come on stage. Jeff, you want to come on up real quick? Our team leads, Tom Pistachio from SMUD, Bill Walden, there we have, Mike McKeever from SACOG, Alicia Guerrera, and Dean Corral. Looks ominous, he said. So, John, raise your hand. He's the team lead for energy. Bill's the team lead for waste and recycling. Alicia is the team lead for water and nature. Everyone knows Mike McKeever. He's the team lead for green building and urban design. And Clean Green Tech is Dean Corral. So can we get all of our team leads together?
Well, I'm Jeff Fonke. I'm the publisher and owner of the Sacramento News Review, and part of our goal with the Greenwise is to share what's going on here in all study groups with our 349,000 readers. And so last month we did I did interviews with all 5 of the team leaders to get perspective on that and to share it with the readers. And I personally want to say how moved I was with their knowledge and their dedication, and also to see this process where clearly the siloed kind of information that is already there is going to be broken down as this goes forward. And so then we came to how we're going to illustrate 5 Q&As. And so we talked about this at the office, and you know, a superhero can get credit for saving a baby falling out of a large building. So we thought superheroes should get credit for saving the earth. And so we have, these are the news review covers that we ran with our, I just want to say is I think part of this, what's cool about Greenwise and of course all the initiatives going around the country is that everyone can be a superhero in doing their part. And so I just want to, we're delighted to be able to present these plaques, and I also want to say what a joy it was in doing the story. Thank you.
All right, thank you, superheroes. All right, today's speaker is going to be Mike McKeever from SACOG. I think everyone in this room knows the important work that SACOG does around our region, and he's the team lead for green building and urban design. And what you'll hear a little bit today is issues related to our building, land use, certainly in transportation. So we give a round of applause for Mike McKeever.
And thank you, Mayor Johnson, for the honor of your appointment to lead the urban design and buildings team. We're, like the rest of the project, very much on the front end of this initiative. It is a sprint, though. As been discussed earlier in the day, the mayor is definitely a go far and fast kind of a person. I think he showed all of us who enjoy watching basketball that that was his style. And we're definitely feeling the heat, your 5 leaders. And so we're about a third of the way into this initiative, and I just want to give you a little bit of a peek behind the curtain on where this team is going. You know, you can see on the screen what the other 4 teams are. We have 70 people in all on this team, and we're, to organize the workflow, like the other teams, we have a smaller group we call the core team. This was picked to be a mix of public and private sector people and people who span the expertise between the issue of buildings and transportation systems and land use. And I do want to read these names really quickly, and the people that are here on this team, I would like you to stand, please. Jim Bayless with Greenville, Bob Chase, Bill Green, Dave DeFonte, Sacramento County, Paul Douglas with Siemens, Larry Green, the Air District, Charles Mason, Ubuntu Green, Stephen Miller, Rebuilding Together, Brian Sainert, Green Building Services, Tina Thomas, an attorney, and Mike Wiley with Sac Regional Transit. So could you please give these folks a hand? very much appreciated. We do have our work organized into 3 basic areas that you can see there, and I'm just going to give you a couple of ideas of what we're looking at. We're not at the point of definitive recommendations. That comes later. But in the buildings area, that sort of naturally sorts itself into what are you doing in the new building sector, what are you doing in the existing building sector. As has been mentioned earlier, this region does have a legitimate claim to leadership in the new building area. We're way high up nationally in the number of new LEED buildings that are being, that have been constructed and are in the planning stages in this region. One of the things that's happening in the state is an updated building code called Cal Green, and that sort of raises the bars statewide for what our minimum standards are. But there are a couple of issues we're looking at. One is within that code, there are options that local governments have in terms of how aggressive they want to be at pursuing the green components within that code. And then there are also a number of voluntary programs out and about the country and the world heading more towards ambitious standards in that area. So we're exploring the notion of could the region get a benefit by coming together and all together agreeing on what a goal higher than the minimum standard in the new state building code would be, not just for the sake of doing better for all the reasons that have been discussed, but would there be a benefit in doing it together? I think we all know our economy is a regional economy. The construction sector operates at a regional scale. It doesn't help their efficiency to go from one city hall to the next and have a different standard necessarily to need to meet. And so that's an issue, that's an area that we're looking into. Could there be some added value there? In the building retrofit area, there is a lot going on. The utilities, SMUD, PG&E, Roseville Electric are all pushing weatherization of homes. The federal government is spending a lot of money. There's a new state possibility, and I'm sure everybody knows about AB 811, that provides some financing mechanisms that are currently in serious trouble because of some problems at the federal level, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. But maybe the missing piece or the possible added value that is needed in the retrofit sector is setting a big regional goal of how far we want to go, how fast. That does not seem to be out there. I have, just to give you an example of what I'm talking about, in my past experience, I had a little mini experience with this in the 80s in Oregon. My firm participated in a huge weatherization project where with Pacific Power and Light, an entire small town was weatherized in a year. Now, there were only 5,000 homes in that town, but I just give you that as illustration that that's the notion of let's do something big and let's do it fast. And so we're looking at whether there's some potential in setting a big regional standard and how fast we want to go on the building retrofits. And then the other idea, and this came not out of the core team, but out of the bigger 70-person team. I don't know whether Matt Piner is here or not, but I want to give him a shout out if he is, made an argument that we need to not just be about the technical issues here, that this is something that ought to capture people's imagination. And so he gave us an example of green walls. And so here are some pictures of what this might look like. And if you think, we all know that the Sacramento region is one of our biggest brand identities is our trees. I remember when I was first down here and my kids were coming down to visit and say, well, what's different about Sacramento? The first thing I would say was, well, look around. The trees make us notably different. Well, think about what this region would look like if you saw something like this all over the place. That would give us an identity. And there are all kinds of practical benefits to this. We have urban heat island impacts in a climate like ours where we have so much sun. And this helps to cool buildings. There's obvious aesthetic attraction if you do this well. You can even make these edible or contribute to the local food supply, Jeff. So this is a, we haven't done enough research to figure out the cost and the benefits and everything, but this is sort of a fun, exciting idea that we're looking into. On the transportation side, we're looking for those opportunities to make big strides, not just small incremental change in moving to standard automobile travel. So what can be done on the transit, walking, biking, carpooling, telecommuting? Where might there be opportunities to make big strides soon, not just sort of small incremental change? Related to that, we all know that a huge challenge in the transportation sector right now is are the huge cuts in transit funding that have occurred. And so we don't have any magic solutions to that yet, but we have that issue in our sights. But it's also important to know that the issue of transit funding gaps, with cuts from the state government in particular, and reductions in local sales tax revenue, are not just about new public sources of revenue. One of the things that we know from all the work we've done together in this region is if you build a different land use pattern that's actually friendly to transit ridership, you get more fare box recovery, you get more revenue from the riders. And so this isn't just about looking for new revenue from taxes or fees, it's about how do we grow in a way that actually makes it cost effective to build a real transit system. We don't have the transit system in the ground today that this region needs. Everybody in this room and in this region knows this. So let me close with land use. This is an area, you heard a long list of achievements for Mayor Newsom in San Francisco of various metrics that they, for all good reasons, have claimed to be proud of. One of the many things that this region has to be proud of is the regional planning and the blueprint that we have in this region. And there's a big new state law that was passed a couple of years ago, Senate Bill 375. It is easily the greenest, most comprehensive regional planning law in the country. That law would not exist if not for the leadership of the SACOG board and the private sector and the citizens who participated in the blueprint. That's just a fact. That law would not exist if not for the actions of this region. And right now, the targets for greenhouse gas emissions for the transportation sector are being set that are required through that law at the California Air Resources Board. And the most ambitious targets in the state have been recommended by that board or by their staff going to the board for this region. And that is based on all the good work that has been done. And they've been watching very closely where the SACOG board is headed on this. They'll be making their recommendation at the board meeting on Thursday. And so this is an area we hope to build on. We're not declaring victory, but this state law, the regional planning, and the land use side is an area we hope to continue to make progress. And to close, I'll just say, and this is sort of under the hood of plannerese, it's boring, but it's important. It's really critical that the codes and the ordinance and the policies at the local level, the state and the federal level, all work, are headed in the same direction, and make it easy for the private sector to come in and build smart growth. And in the state law, we have the biggest reform, regulatory streamlining in CEQA, in the history of that statute, since it was adopted by the state more than 3 decades ago. And so we're determined to be aggressive, not passive and timid about taking advantage of those regulatory reforms in the next year or two in the region. So those, probably longer than I should have gone, but those are the issues that we're working on. Thank you.
All right, thank you everyone for being here today. This was a very inspirational day. Once again, thank you Mayor Johnson and to the leadership team. One housekeeping note, which is the parking garage closes at 2. So if you're engrossed in conversation in your policy committee meetings, please go move your car out the garage. So our assignment this month is to look at the goals that will be included